biggest mistake of my life looking back at it. If I could tell myself going into that first job, I'd say take your PTO, take your weekends. And if it's 5 p.m. on a Friday, you don't need to respond to anyone unless someone is literally dying. And when you get started, do not be disappointed because the reality is you're starting very low,
Right.
often low. Do not get discouraged. If you're good at what you do, you will find a company that will pay you what you're worth. Ultimately, know your worth.
Welcome to the Job Dictionary podcast. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Thomas Hajduk, and he is actually a director of marketing at OTK Network. And today, he'll be sharing with us a lot about just working in brand strategy, marketing overall. And yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
So to start off the interview, Thomas, we always start with three quick questions, and that is, in your own words, what do you do? Where do you live? And then as a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up?
What do I do? As the director of marketing at OTK, my job is for OTK and all of its subsidiaries to shine as brightly or achieve their core goals as corporations or companies, whatever their goal is. So OTK Media is a media production and marketing company, which also includes creative services. So, for example, we do custom shows for brands on the internet, targeting millennials and Gen Z through YouTube as well as Twitch, Twitch being our largest platform. We also represent some of the largest content creators on Twitch and YouTube, such as the likes of Emery, Asmund Gold, S-Fan TV, NMP, Soda Poppin, focus in gaming and content creation as the core kind of entity slash niche. And then through our subsidiaries, we have Mad Mushroom, which is a games publishing company, Starforce Systems, which is a PC building company, and then there is Mythic Talent, which is a talent management agency. So we circumvent a lot of different areas within the gaming online content creation space.
Awesome.
So my job through that is essentially, like I said, make everyone look as great as possible, whether it's through the more front-facing media slash marketing side, like social media, web design, communications, or the back end. So it's the B2B communications from just a pitch deck that goes out to even just the core logo branding and the direction that it goes. So it circumvents a lot of different areas essentially.
Awesome. And where are you guys located?
So OTK is based in Austin, Texas, a little bit north. We
Awesome.
basically claim to fame for like just the Austin area, and then the rest of the other companies. So is also Starforce Systems. They have a whole office out here and a warehouse where everything is built by hand, and then the other two companies are basically remote all across the U.S.
Awesome. And is this the area of industry job that you wanted to do when you grew up?
Uh, sort of. Growing up, I always wanted to be a content creator. I grew up on the
Yeah.
age of watching uh, the first generation of YouTubers,
Yeah.
whether it be Smosh, gosh, why am I blanking on all grew up watching Fred, Smosh, Niga Higa, all those OG, Kev Jumba, like, you just name it. And it's like the most classic YouTubers ever. And I always thought it'd be really cool to do that.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I guess I'm doing that, working with content creators, but more so on the business side. So essentially, I am kind of doing that, but this is definitely not the route that I was thinking about going down. Essentially, neither did I think it was going to get this big, but look at the draw, I guess.
Hey, it's connected, so it is connected. Okay, so how long have you actually been working in this field?
Sure. So I've been doing this for 9 years
Awesome.
right now. Started in early 20 like 14 ish essentially. So almost 10 years, but kind of like towards like the later half of the summer. So it'll be 10 years coming up towards the end of the summer of 2014. And I started as just a general social media manager, managing brand accounts, learning the whole ropes.
Yeah.
And then worked my way up all the way to marketing director throughout the last 10 years. So yeah, that's how I
Awesome.
got started.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And what degrees or certifications do you think are required for this job? What did you study in college?
Sure. I just got a general marketing degree from Lewis University, a small university out in the central Central Illinois.
Okay.
They had a pretty good marketing program, and it was a little bit more modern, so I decided to go down that route. And then in terms of certifications, I'm self-taught. A lot of the current marketing trends, capabilities, everything. Basically, after like once I got started at my first job, it was like you learned so much on the fly. You
Yeah.
ended up just experiencing so much that I almost say like within the first 8 months of working full time, like at a larger company, I learned more in those 8 months than I did at like 4 years at university, but it's kind of the
Yeah.
nature of the beast. I think one aspect that stood out to me a lot too was the opportunity to self-learn if you balance a good schedule at work is allocating enough time, whether it's an hour out of your day, 3 hours out of a week, whether it's a Monday or a Friday, on learning to learn. I've noticed
Yeah.
that was been the biggest growth point in my career is just not saying, okay, I have the tasks that I need to knock out, or here's my responsibilities, is taking advantage of the resources, the networks, the any company offers you, but also giving yourself time to learn. I think sometimes people are still laser focused on I gotta come into my 9 to 5
Right.
and do everything. Um, the habit of itching of like opening up, let's say TikTok or something, and or whatever your distraction of the day is throughout your normal work day, and then channeling that into building skill sets and stuff like that was really helpful in just the overall growth of the last 10 years, and I've been able to definitely take a lot more on over the years through just the simple, very like time investment from day to day to week over time. It all adds up.
Yeah. I'm a marketing major as well, and I agree.
Mhm.
Even just with the roles that I hold like outside of school, that's I feel like where I'm learning the most rather than just sitting in a classroom and, hearing about the
Yeah.
different things you can do.
Trust me, there are those really important fundamentals that you should learn.
Yes.
Probably learn and all that stuff. Now, whether you choose to apply it to every single marketing position, it's very different, right? Retail marketing compared to real estate marketing, compared to B2B, corporation marketing compared to B2C versus PR marketing. And it all there's so many different ranges, and until
Yeah.
you're really in there and for a company, it's so flexible. I think one of the things when you are a student at a university, you're looking into getting into marketing, you're going through your marketing courses, is think of it as like if if I were to be working at like McDonald's versus like a sales force, right? How different of like what
Yeah.
marketing philosophies am I applying? What general base points am I applying versus what I'm trying to achieve? And always have that mindset that just because it works for one company doesn't work, it means it works for another. So sometimes you can
Yes.
learn on your feet in that regard. But yeah, other than that, in terms of certifications, man, there's so many other great online certifications, but I really don't think that there's that many that are like a must need or
Required.
must. Um, there's so many awesome content creators built and people on the space in just throughout media that you can learn from. Another great one is through um, indirectly actually through LinkedIn. You can follow a lot of brand leaders as they go through the space, what they're posting about, what they're doing. I was kind of paying attention to Tubi, which is a free service link provider, what they recently rebranded, and I followed the CMO, kind of seeing what they were doing, what was the biggest challenges, what they tackled,
Right.
stuff like that. Um, and honestly, you can if you get into a good habit, we talked about self-learning, you can learn more, if not just at significantly more, not more than any online certification. Now, there are a lot of base certifications that I think you could find valuable, but again, we talked about the application of these in most situations. They're very situational.
Yeah.
So unless you're trying to like remember those core fundamentals that you learned in college, most certifications, I'm not gonna lie, pretty garbage these days because
Yeah.
what was happening 6 months ago is not really
Happening anymore.
relevant.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and I think this past year I've definitely like dove a lot more into the marketing world, and I think a big misconception is that marketing is one thing and one thing only, and there's so many different areas of it. So I'm curious, specifically with like brand strategy, I know you're the marketing director right now. Are there any specific like job titles you should look for if you're wanting to work in strategy specifically?
Sure. I think no matter what role you have at a company, you're thinking about strategy, whether you're the social media manager, whether you're the community manager, even the content manager for TikTok or a specific platform, even if you're doing email marketing for a company,
Right.
strategy is always the core aspect to it. And I feel very rarely you'll find junior employees running strategy ever at any corporation. And if there is one, I'm very skeptical immediately of your roles and responsibilities. More
Yeah.
so of the time, that comes down from either the CMO or CEO directly of like, hey, these are the core fundamentals that our brand is trying to achieve. And then you're coordinating back with either your marketing director or your VP of marketing, et cetera, whoever's your direct report on that
Hmm.
overall strategy. And I highly advise young professionals to never jump in with, I think my strategy is the right way until you really have gotten a grounding experience at the company. Oftentimes I see too
Yeah.
many young, eager, um, new hires that think that they can change the whole dynamic of a company. If you're
Right.
at a Fortune 500 company, even Fortune 1000, you're going in up an absolute like mammoth of either already established processes, verbiage, all that stuff. The only place that you can really shine as a younger brand strategist, which there are advantages to, I
Hmm.
look to, like, for example, Duolingo is a great example to the brand
Yes.
social
Mhm.
shift of how they communicated over the last 3 years. Mostly came from a junior slash early younger team, which
Right.
benefited them over time, and they earned the trust of their core leadership. But sometimes it just depends. Um,
Yes.
Startups are like usually the best in terms of giving flexibility for those that are very eager and very driven mindset. I know a lot of individuals are like, oh, I want to go work for like PepsiCo or
Right.
Microsoft or Toyota, and then they're going to implement all these brand strategies, and then it just
That they're
basically
gonna be.
it's
Yeah.
very demoralizing very quickly. So
Yeah.
sometimes you just have someone that's like 20 years older than you, seniority, and they're
Yeah.
just so locked in their ways that it's not going for like
Yeah.
change overall.
Makes sense. Yeah. So
So yeah,
it's definitely company by company. There's a lot more structure in a bigger, larger company, and a junior role is gonna do less impactful things that will lead to that big picture thing that the leader is, strategizing for versus a startup, smaller company.
yeah,
You get a lot more hands-on, like earlier experience, one would say. So yeah.
absolutely. And I think there are ways can communicate strategy, brand strategy, because brand strategy can be so many different things. And I think a lot of things get looped into it from things that are out of your control, right? Whether it's just regular goals that the company has, whether it's revenue marks, profit margins, new product rollouts, expansions, new KPIs, and all that fun buzzword and stuff that comes within the business world,
Yeah.
right? But ultimately, sometimes you have to like break it down to the bones of like, why should people at the end of the day, our job as marketers is very simple, right?
Right.
Why should people care about your brand? And we either change the perception of the brand to a certain degree or implement strategies to change that, or by very small incremental things, such as, for example, logo placement, allocating ad spend, product development, product messaging, all that stuff. It gets very complicated. I love how when people say, "Oh, marketing is so easy," but when you really break it down,
There's
it can
so
be
much to
very
it.
complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
yeah,
And
that's
we know.
about. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So could you share a little bit with me? What is a day in the life like in your role?
Sure. Um. So I oversee around 15 people, ranging from the whole entire creative department and to the social media slash marketing side for OTK Media. And then I
Okay.
also advise all three of our subsidiaries on their B2B marketing, creative strategy, and all that stuff. So it's I think day to day is very hard and it changes from project to project, month to month, week to week. Usually, it's about setting expectations coming in on a Monday and just knowing, hey, what do we have coming up, setting the tone for what is urgent, what is not, what needs to be delivered on a specific day versus what can be extended on. A lot of people management, which I think I struggled really early on in my time at OTK as we grew. Over time, I've grown to quite enjoy. Um, and then throughout the week, just checking in, keeping people accountable to what needs to get done, which sounds redundant, but also it's very important to know, like, I'm basically steering the ship of like,
Right.
hey, this brand is trying to say this. So for OTK Media, since we've been doing a lot of media production, it revolves around promoting a show, how is that show promotion is going on, creating the assets, building out the runway for, hey, what assets need to be created for which platform, what dollars are going to get spent when is this needed, and then intercompany communications with like production vice president versus a director from a show on the run of show, leading all the way back to just anything in between. So lots of like intercompany communication, which
Okay.
basically puts me at like the focal point in a lot of situations. So just staying very organized. So what I like to always do throughout a week is keep a running notepad on basically things that are coming up. I'm very big on like crossing things out just mentally, even if it's a small note of like email someone, right? Boom, cross that out, stuff like that. And there's no because of the overall from month to month, so many things change here at OTK.
Mm.
My weeks just never look the same, which I think is the favorite part about my job. I don't have to always come in and just know, okay, well, I have to run reports on Fridays or do a
Right.
stand up here. And creating like a culture slash environment around what people want to experience, etc.,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's like the core thing when it comes to what is my week like. The biggest things in my week that I'm usually trying to always accomplish is like setting expectations for the team, and also communicating that back and forth through the department heads and solving a lot of internal problems and also making a lot of decisions. Because what I've noticed too at a lot of like medium-sized companies where there's like 200 to 300 people, depending on like the leadership style and stuff like that,
Mhm.
it's so much on some people are very indecisive in terms of making decisions. And sometimes someone just needs to make a decision because they're waiting for someone else to
Yeah.
make a decision, etc. And yeah, just a lot of making like, hey, we're gonna go with this. This is the date. This is the due date. You know, someone's got to
Right.
make establish it. So,
Sounds like a lot of collaboration, is what I'm hearing. Do you work mainly in the office or remote?
so most of our team is remote,
Mhm.
all over the United States, but we have a centralized we use a centralized platform called Discord to kind of help communication flow and everything like
Right.
that. I go into our production. We have a studio out here in Austin that I go into. I need to have my workspace separated from home space kind of person. It helps me the most with being focused, and I've always found that most effective, as well as the interactions that you have with people helps so much more in the long run of whatever you're doing, essentially.
Yes. Awesome. And are there any tools, technologies that you do use on the day-to-day at your job?
Yeah, we use Asana and we use Discord. So Asana for task tracking,
Yes. Project management.
communications back and forth, all that fun stuff. I think especially for marketers and project managers, learning basic um, project management softwares is like
Right.
almost a necessary. Like getting good at that can save your butt in so many situations. It can really impress someone from like if you're trying to move up in a company when you can set up new procedures, eliminate redundancy, help streamline things and just overall smooth things out. And it reduces taxation from yourself, your team, from others.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's the biggest one. And then yeah, I guess we use Google Drive. Thank
Yeah.
goodness. I do not look meetings. And I know we're conducting this interview on Zoom. I also don't like Zoom, but it is what it is. That's
Yeah. Okay, so could you just very quickly give me an overview of how you feel about the flexibility of this role? Do you find that you have to take a lot of work home? Does it stay during your, working office hours? Um, just a little overview of that.
Sure. I'm terrible when it comes to working while not at work. I more so because a lot of the things when it comes to my specific role about making decisions, approving things, saying yes, um, and maintaining that kind of course for the team. Sometimes I'll catch myself working from my phone where there's just shooting a response here, an email there, stuff like that. In terms of flexibility, my job has been very flexible in terms of like my times, all that stuff, vacation. So no real concerns there. One of the benefits of working at a startup always is that you just have a little bit more flexibility depending on things.
Right.
So that is it. But sometimes the downside of working at startups or smaller companies is sometimes your personal life and your company life do get intertwined a little bit more than you would have
Yeah.
liked. There have been many times where I get like pings at like 9 p.m. Now, it's really big about setting your own boundaries at companies and at whatever you're doing in life. I firmly believe that. So I'm very good at like, hey, I'm not going to respond to this until 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Right.
And I always say, if someone really needs to get a hold of me, they'll call me. And if someone's dying, I will know, basically,
Yeah.
in the situation. So this
Okay.
is some big guidelines to follow. Your company should never own your personal life. That is one big guideline that I advise all students. One mistake that I made early on in my junior year, my first year working, is I would like work way too many hours for basically not taking PTO. I thought it would all add up. Biggest mistake of my life, looking back at it. If I could tell myself going into that first job, I'd say take your PTO, take your weekends. And if it's 5 p.m. on a Friday, you don't need to respond to anyone unless someone is literally dying. And that's kind of like my biggest advice for that. Some people kind of just destroy their own habits going into a company.
Right.
You
Yeah.
don't need to do that.
No, I get that. And you share a bit about this earlier. So for someone coming into the field, where are they going to start? What is that promotion path going to look like? And if you could share maybe like a wide range of estimates, what is the difference in salaries as you do go up in a brand strategy role?
Yeah. Brand strategy, man, I won't lie. It starts at the biggest jumps are when you become a VP or CMO of a company. It depends on the company size, right?
Okay.
So you have your big companies, usually your IPO, stuff like that. You have your small companies, startups, up to 20 population for 2 years, right? You're always going to get a salary increase every time you switch a career every 2 years. You'll have the experience, it might not be the best job fit, might not be the best things, it might not be your favorite job. You'll definitely see an increase in terms of salary, in terms of pay, obviously, whenever you make those jumps every 2 years. I also say that to people too. No one's gonna really if you're jumping every 2 years, I've never seen an issue with that ever in an employer where they're like, why did you hop around? Well, like you're like, well, I got a better opportunity with better pay, and that's what it fit my brand or what I wanted to do.
Yes.
Who's going to ignore any of that? So that's what I see it. And I think one thing too for just brand strategists or people that work within company brands internally is when you get started, do not be disappointed because the reality is you're starting very low, often low. Do not get discouraged. If you're good at what you do, you will find a company that will pay you what you're ultimately. Know your worth.
Awesome. And all right, to kind of wrap it up a bit, what would you tell someone who is younger, starting off their career, that is wanting to get into this field?
Learn a skill adjacent to brand/marketing, whether that is video content creation, graphic design, and get good at it. And I'll tell you how many times I've ran into marketers, people on the brand side that do not understand the core fundamentals and make terrible decisions that impact designers, video, and creative that absolutely decimate the brand, decimate it to the point where it's just bad. Learn these skills, get good at them, admit that you're bad at them, and invest time. I talked a little bit earlier about how investing 3 hours of your week into other things and learning will help over the course of 10 years. It's changed the way I
That you
perceive
see
everything.
You use like any podcasts, any of the sort?
Sure. Highly recommend The Future. with Chris Dew, and then I love following Brian Collins. He's he owns the Collins Agency, one of the most respectable branding agencies out there.
Awesome.
And then yeah, I look to disruptors. I always like to see what Liquid Death is doing. I think they're breaking the system where it comes to marketing, and look at what other brands are doing. And sometimes if everyone is following one direction, being that anomaly is the best thing to do, depending on your brand, of course.
Yeah.
Depending on your brand.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Could you share with me where people can find you, where they can follow along with your work?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Thomas at Hajduk. That's my handle, basically my name. Same thing if you look me up on YouTube. Same thing. LinkedIn, I believe it's just my last name, but if you look me up, you'll probably find me there. I create a bunch of content for college students, people looking to make a career in gaming. I talk about content creation and all the fun stuff that happens behind the scenes and within OTK. So people shouldn't hesitate to reach out to me and all that fun stuff. We're talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and really appreciate you for coming out here today.
No, thank you so much. Would love to do this again and dive deeper into stuff next time.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Thomas. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
You just got one episode closer to learning about the world of jobs out there. To explore the rest of our career categories and find your best fit, go to jobdictionary.com to sign up for the beta users waitlist. Then subscribe here to find the next episodes coming out this week. And as always, drop us a comment, review, or message to let us know how we could better attune our episodes to your specific needs. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Threads, Pinterest, and wherever else you're on socials to go get our short, snappy preview reels that expose you to new job options every day. Because here at Job Dictionary, we believe your big aha moment can be just one scroll away. Go check it out and get out there. Cheers!